You are listening to Eat Meat Sparingly, a Word of Wisdom podcast. I am your host, Ali Essig. This week's episode is sponsored by the Plantwise Lakeside Wellness Retreat. This year, we're hosting this women's retreat May 5th through the 8th, 2026 at Lake Anna, Virginia. Now, we host this every year. It is the best event of the year. My entire team flies out for it. We cook for you. We teach you. We give you all of the support that you've been looking for when you are transitioning to a plant-based lifestyle. Plus, it's just fun girl time. So make sure to check out the website. I've linked it below. There's only 2 rooms left. So you want to grab them as soon as possible, and maybe a bunk bedroom or 2 is left. So make sure that you take advantage and use the code January, January. So January, and you can save 15% during the month of January. Once February hits though, you won't be able to use that coupon. So you got to get on it as soon as possible. February's code will be February, and you'll be able to save 10%. So whenever you're listening to this, you still can save, but the sooner you book, the better. Today's episode is all about the mitochondria. Now, it's not your typical biology-based mitochondria lesson. This one is mitochondria for dummies, because let's be honest, sometimes when we talk about the mitochondria, it just goes straight over our heads. I'm like, this is too much information. I don't really get it. How does it affect me? Why should I care? I want to ask you something. Have you noticed that suddenly everyone is a mitochondria expert? Everyone's talking about it. Maybe your friend is even skipping breakfast because fasting boosts mitochondria. Or maybe another friend is doing ice baths because, again, this will help increase your mitochondria, right? It helps. Cold plunging builds mitochondria. Or even someone on Instagram is staring into the sun barefoot, right? Talking about mitochondrial optimization. Now, look, some of this stuff isn't wrong, but a lot of it is incomplete. So today's episode is called Mitochondria for Dummies, because if you don't even understand why people are doing this or why it's even important, I want to explain it. And I want to explain it in a way that anyone can understand. No PhD required. I don't have a PhD, so I feel like I can dumb it down on just the basic level, like a mom talking to another mom, right? There's no biochemistry exam at the end. It's just me and what the mitochondria actually do, what really moves the needle for mitochondrial health, and most importantly, why you should care, and how to tell if yours might be struggling. Because mitochondria aren't just a wellness buzzword, right? They are quite literally the reason you have energy to exist. They are the reason you have energy to exist. So you've probably heard this line before. Mitochondria, they are the powerhouse of the cell. If there was anything that I remember from biology, it was that. That's all I knew. There was the cell, we have the nucleus, and then we have the mitochondria, and they were like the little battery, right? They're the powerhouse of the cell. And while that's true, it wildly undersells it. So mitochondria, they're the tiny structures inside your cells that take the food that you eat, the oxygen that you breathe, and turn that into ATP, which is your body's usable energy currency. So if you don't have mitochondria, you don't have energy. And here's the key part that most people miss. Your brain, your heart, your muscles, your liver, and your immune system are the most mitochondria dense tissues in your body. Pretty much every cell in your body, except for red blood cells, have mitochondria in it. And your brain, your heart, your muscles, your liver, your immune system have the most, right? So this is why it matters. This is why you should want to learn about mitochondria health. When your mitochondria struggle, this is how you feel. You may feel a little bit of brain fog. You may have fatigue. You may have weak workouts. You just don't have enough energy. You may have mood dips. You may have slower recovery or even faster aging. Okay. This is not about biohacking. Really, this is about how you can just have more energy, how you can feel better, how you can improve your day-to-day life. Okay. When I decided to talk about mitochondria, I actually was asked to give a presentation about mitochondria. So I called the best person in the mitochondria world who knows the best, and that is Dr. Cyrus Khambatta. Dr. Cyrus Khambatta has a very popular video on YouTube, probably one of his most popular ones, with so many views, where he breaks down, because he has a PhD, he breaks down all the details of why you should care about mitochondria. But I was like, look, I understand all these things, but can you just simplify it for me? Can you just make this easy for someone like me to understand? I know you're super smart. And this is why I want to tell you, I want to pass this on, not just for the other workshop that I taught, but also for people like me to really finally understand why we need it, why this is important. So, again, in simple terms, they are the powerhouses of your cells. But I want you to think of it more of like this power plant analogy. So, imagine a city like San Francisco, and instead of having just one or two massive power plants outside the city, the human body has trillions of cells. And inside each cell are hundreds or thousands of these microscopic power plants. So we have a ton of power plants in our body, trillions, right? So many of them. And these power plants turn the food you eat, the glucose and the fatty acids and the oxygen and all these things into ATP, which is like the electricity or the currency that your body uses to power every single thing you do, from breathing to thinking to working out to sleeping, all of the above, right? They are in almost every tissue of your body except for those red blood cells, and they're especially packed into your muscles to help them contract. So, again, why should you care? Because healthy mitochondria mean high energy, mental clarity, and focus. And when they break down, it can lead to insulin resistance, obesity, heart disease, among many, many other things. So it goes even deeper than just having the energy to fuel your day-to-day life. And so right now, so many people are talking about this. Many experts are suggesting for us to fast or cold exposure to boost that mitochondria. And that works. Like what they actually do, cold exposure really does help brown fat produce more heat. And fasting and calorie restriction act like housekeeping services. It's a process called mitophagy, which helps your body clear out damaged mitochondria so that the remaining ones can work more efficiently. And that's, I think of it when you fast, even just fasting 12 hours overnight is so important because you're so busy. It's like me in my house. I'm so busy taking care of my kids, doing the things that no one really gets to deep cleaning, maybe Saturday mornings. But it's so nice to have us all leave the home and then have a cleaner come and really get into the deeper cleaning, right? And so that's what happens inside of in our body, that it helps your body clear out the damaged mitochondria so that the remaining ones can work more efficiently. We deep clean our cells. So fasting is a great thing to do, but there's so much more to this, right? You'll also see a lot of people talk about saunas. Saunas have a very similar benefit, right? We're detoxing in the sauna. Red light therapy can also be beneficial to boost mitochondria. HIIT workouts. Have you heard people talk about HIIT workouts? How important it is to just go push really, really, really hard, like that healthy type of stress, right? Ketones. People talk about this all the time, I feel like, getting those ketones. Or even supplements, which there's so many supplements with super intense names that I can't even pronounce half the times. Now, here's the truth. They are missing something. Yes, many of these stressors are so great. They stress your mitochondria just enough to make them adapt. And this is called hormesis. It's this small stress which creates a stronger response. So cold exposure, yes, it can signal mitochondrial biogenesis, which is so great. You're adapting, you're becoming stronger. Fasting, same things. It can activate that cellular cleanup. Exercise, absolutely. It's actually probably one of the strongest signals that we know. And you don't even have to just do a HIIT workout. That's just probably like the best way within the exercise realm, but any type of exercise. That's why you feel and you have so much more energy when you exercise because it creates that strong signal to increase the mitochondrial function. But here's the problem. Most people are just stacking stress on the mitochondria, and the mitochondria are under-fueled. We're just talking about these healthy stressors, this hormesis, this, what can we do to boost this biogenesis? But you cannot cold plunge your way out of poor nutrition, which brings us to exactly what actually moves the needle, right? And the nourishment really is the missing piece. While these stressors help the sources suggest that food is a powerful way to actually make new mitochondria. And again, when you make new mitochondria, this process is called biogenesis. And the danger that can happen when you think that we need to nourish ourselves by eating high fat diets. Like a lot of people will say, avoid sugar, right? Eat higher fat diets. And I want to talk about that just for a second, because while it can be beneficial, for example, to reduce the amount of sugar that you're eating. Most people believe that less glucose means fewer free radicals, which means healthier mitochondria. And they decide to eat high fat diets so that you're nice and full, so it minimizes your blood sugar spikes. And while that is true, it will produce fewer free radicals, which will help your mitochondria be healthier. It is not the full truth. It ignores total oxidative load. It ignores the power of fiber. It ignores the power of antioxidants and the repair systems. It's not about taking things away by minimizing sugar, right? It's always a great thing to cut down on it, no question. But again, it goes back to nourishing. How are we actually nourishing the mitochondria? And does eating a high fat diet nourish it? What does the research say? When people pair fasting with a high fat or a keto style diet, we know that the fasting can help the mitochondria. However, research shows that high fat diets, which is about 30 to 35% of calories from fat, can actually decrease the number of mitochondria because it increases oxidative stress and it can actually lead to insulin resistance. I know this is like the opposite of what probably these popular podcasts are saying about keto right now and how keto is so beneficial, but let's look at the long-term research. In fact, whenever there's a diet that's studied to find out what's like the best diet of the year, it always goes back to the Mediterranean diet. The Mediterranean diet, unlike other diets, is unique because it supports three critical areas. Number one, it helps to make new mitochondria. Number two, it helps them function better. So it's not just making new ones, it's helping them to function better, and it helps them fuse together to share resources. The Mediterranean diet has a ton of advantages. And I would say that the plant-based diet hasn't been studied as fully when it comes to mitochondria health, because if it was, then we would be like, oh yeah, plant-based diet's the best, the best. But with the research that we have, the understanding that we have, we know that a Mediterranean diet excels because of this one thing. The secret to feeding your mitochondria is simply polyphenols. So you're like, polyphenols? Yes, polyphenols are like a subclass of antioxidants. They're compounds that are only found in plants. And it really is the secret, right? We got to be as blunt as possible. Mitochondria don't just respond to stress. They don't just respond to fasting your way into health or exercising your way. Like, we have to have inputs. We have to nourish our body. And one of the most overlooked inputs is what you eat, specifically polyphenols, specifically those antioxidants, which are only found in plants, polyphenols. Not enough people are talking about polyphenols. Polyphenols are these plant compounds that are found in berries. They're found in dark chocolate. Yes, yay for dark chocolate. They're found in even coffee and green tea. They're found in olive oil. They're found in red and purple vegetables and herbs and spices. They're not vitamins, right? They're not calories. And too many of us just think when we think of food, all we're thinking is calories in, calories out. We're just thinking of the macros or even the micronutrients or the vitamins. It goes deeper than that. They're cellular signaling molecules, even deeper, cellular signaling molecules. When polyphenols enter your body, mitochondria basically hear, hey, conditions might be challenging, so let's upgrade. Hey, let's nourish you. Let's give you everything that you need so that we're ready for whatever might happen. They activate pathways like PCG1A, which is like a master regulator of mitochondrial biogenesis. And again, I don't have a PhD here. So if I say anything wrong, it doesn't matter. Like, I just want you to understand how powerful plants are. They really can help this to just help you have more energy in the most simple way, right? It's this antioxidant defense inside the mitochondria. It improves your efficiency of energy production. As a mom with 6 kids, all I want is more energy. Let's be honest. It's like mom, 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 mom all day long, right? I'm trying to have a business. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. You tell me that I can have more energy by eating more plants. It's not just about weight loss. It's not just about improving your health for the long term. This is about simply having more energy to be more efficient. My body can be more efficient when I eat fruits and vegetables that are rich in polyphenols. Okay. And here's the wild part. Polyphenols don't just increase the number of mitochondria. They help improve the quality of existing ones. So much of the conversation about mitochondrial health is about biogenesis, it's about increasing the number of mitochondria. But hey, why don't we just improve the mitochondria that we already have and make them more efficient, make them less leaky, make them less inflammatory? And this is why populations that eat polyphenol-rich diets, think like Mediterranean, right? Like a Mediterranean style diet, because they're eating a heck of a lot more vegetables than we are. In America, the standard American diet, the average vegetables that people are eating are just a little over 1 serving of vegetables a day. How many fruit are we eating a day? Not even a full serving, zero point 0.6 servings of fruit a day. Okay, this is why in all the studies that show the Mediterranean diet do so well, because they actually eat more vegetables. And because of that, they tend to age better metabolically and cognitively. So if you want to age better metabolically and cognitively, you need to be eating more vegetables, more fruits, more whole grains, right? All of these things. It's so important. More beans, plants, any type of plant in its whole form is the best thing that you can put in your body. Not because you're not in a good state because you need to fast for 18 hours a day. Not because you need to do more HIIT workouts or you need to cold plunge. Okay. This works because your cells are constantly being gently supported day in, day out, 3 meals a day, and even snacks. That's how you support your mitochondria. You nourish them. Just like me with my kids. I'm going to be like, okay, well, it's really good for you to exercise, but I'm not going to feed you. No, you got to do both. No question. Exercise is great. But sometimes the conversation when it comes to mitochondria is so much on this hormonic stress, this way that we can adapt the cold plunging, the fasting, all of these other things. And we forget about the nourishing. We need to nourish ourselves on this cellular level. So why does mitochondria health matter so much? Because mitochondria sit at the intersection of energy, of aging, of metabolism, of brain health, of immune resilience. If you want to get sick less often, feed your mitochondria. How do you feed your mitochondria? Polyphenol-rich foods. Poor mitochondrial function is linked to insulin resistance. So when you have big blood sugar surges, usually that can go back to poor mitochondrial function. Neurodegenerative disease, so any type of like Alzheimer's disease, any type of dementia, all of that can also go back to your mitochondrial function. Chronic fatigue. If you're exhausted all the time and you ignore this simple fact of how important it is to nourish your mitochondria, no wonder you are not getting any better. Hormonal dysregulation. If your hormones are all over the place and you're ignoring this important principle, no wonder. And even just faster biological aging. If you're aging fast, if you feel like you're getting more wrinkles, all of these things, it's like on a deeper cellular level, are we nourishing your mitochondria? On the flip side, when mitochondria work well, people often report stable energy throughout the day, better mood and motivation, faster exercise recovery. I know Dr. Cyrus Kambata, he'll also talk about how he does the VO2 max like tests and how much better it improves when he focuses on nourishing his mitochondria. Like you can get faster, you can be stronger, you will not feel as weak in your workouts. Sharper thinking though, it's not just your body moving, it's how you're thinking. If you want sharper thinking, we got to nourish your mitochondria with polyphenol-rich foods. And most importantly, better stress tolerance, because you can eat a perfect diet, but if you're not actually focusing on your stress, and that's where things like exercise, and it's like a full picture, right? We can't also just focus on food and ignore all of the other things that can help your mitochondria, like exercise. It's so beneficial. But this is why mitochondrial health is not just about optimization. It's about resilience. It's about being nourished 3 times a day, not just your fasting once a week or your cold plunging, right? Life is already stressful enough. We don't necessarily need to add a ton more stress to it to get all the benefits. Your cells don't need more punishment. What they do need is actually better support. And how can you better support your cells? You eat more fruits and vegetables, more beans, legumes, more whole grains, more plants. And so let's get practical. Here are some common signs of poor mitochondrial health. Number 1, if you have constant fatigue, it's not just like I didn't sleep well one night, it's more like that bone deep unrefreshing fatigue. Number 2, that brain fog, that difficulty concentrating, remembering words, or even just feeling mentally sharp. The exercise intolerance. Number 3, workouts feel harder than they should. Recovery takes forever. You're always sore when you work out. Number 4, blood sugar swings, right? Energy crashes after meals. You have strong carb cravings and then you're shaky. You feel the ups and downs. Number 5, cold sensitivity. You feel really cold all the time and you can react inefficiently to energy production. And number 6, mood changes. Mitochondria are deeply involved in neurotransmitter production. So these symptoms are not specific, but together they paint a picture, right? So if you happen to have mood changes, but maybe it's like PMDD, again, this is sometimes it can be for a specific issue. But in general, if you're looking at the bigger picture, the answer is not more caffeine. Because the way we're living our life, it's like, okay, I just need caffeine. I need more caffeine. I need it from soda. I need it from coffee. I need it work with a lot of people. And it's like, the answer is not more caffeine, guys. Stop. Stop it. Stop it. We need to feed our mitochondria. So what is the smart, non-extreme approach? I want you to think of mitochondria like this. Number 1, feed them. Okay. Feed them polyphenol-rich plants. Feed them enough calories. Feed them enough micronutrients. It's not all about the macros. It's not about macros. It's about the micros as much as the macros, right? We've got to eat the plants. And if you're prioritizing protein so much that it pushes out all of the plants, you're not feeding your body properly, period. Now, which foods are going to be the best? Because you're going to be like, okay, I get it. Polyphenol-rich foods. Can you just tell me like which ones? Body does a really great job on his YouTube channel that shows all the different foods you can eat. Pretty much any plant, you're golden. But I do want to go over specific ones, okay? But I do want you to know, just because I'm listing these doesn't mean that other vegetables and other beans and other fruits like that, they do have polyphenols too. So it's not just these foods. But if you're going to list ones that have a different amount, a higher amount, it's going to be number 1, soybeans. Soybeans, tofu, have some edamame. It's fantastic. You wouldn't think about it, right? We don't even think about that. But today, I literally have been using my waffle maker to make my tofu because I learned that from Faithful Playful. I did an Instagram post on it recently. I'm going to do a YouTube video on it next week. Anyway, it is so great. Like I'll just have half a block of tofu, cook it in my waffle maker, dip it in a sauce, add it with a sandwich and some fruit and some vegetables, right? And it stabilizes, like you're so full. It's so nutritious. Soybeans are fantastic. They're a great amount. And with that too, like they contain a compound called jenisin. They contain a compound called jenisin. And studies show that eating about 4 ounces of soybeans daily can actually increase the number of mitochondria in your muscles and make you 19.4% more sensitive to insulin. Soybeans are amazing. We should not be afraid of them. It's funny. My son, we were recording a YouTube video and he was like, soy boy, he's 6 years old, almost 7. I'm like, where did you hear that? Right? That there's so much misinformation about soy. It really is beneficial for you. Of course, with any food, you don't want to go overboard. Just like water is so good for you, but you can still poison yourself with water. You don't want to go crazy, but it is really good for you. Another food is cacao beans, right? It's an exercise booster, actually. They're rich in ipacatechin. Oh my gosh, guys. I told you I don't have a PhD in this stuff. This is all about for dummies. But cacao helps mitochondria work better under both normal and stressful conditions. So eating just 2 squares of dark chocolate, so about 100 calories a day, eating just 2 squares of dark chocolate a day or 100 calories for 3 months has been shown to increase VO2 max or exercise performance by 12% by creating more mitochondria in the leg muscles. Isn't that amazing? So let's have chocolate. I'm all for it. Not the milk chocolate kind. And if you even want to avoid the sugar altogether, you could just throw in like cacao nibs into your smoothie. That's a really great way to eat it as well. Now, red grapes are beneficial. They have resveratrol, and it's a polyphenol that helps lower blood sugar and promotes mitochondrial function in the muscles. But here's like the polyphenol tip is that you would have to eat like thousands of cups of grapes to get the therapeutic dose. So most people recommend like a high quality supplement here. If you want to, I would just say eat grapes. They're fantastic for you. Don't stress about how much you need to be eating for like optimizing your mitochondria. Just eat them. They're great for your brain. You're going to get so many other benefits. Now, here's really the benefit, like the secret weapon, shall we call it, and that is beets and leafy greens. Now, these are nitrate-rich vegetables, and they work in two ways. They dilate your blood vessels to get more oxygen to your tissues, and they make your mitochondria more efficient by reducing proton leakage. Basically, in like the Mitochondria for Dummies explanation, when you eat leafy greens, when you eat beets and you chew them, it interacts with like the grooves and the grips of your tongue and your mouth. It goes into your stomach and it produces what's called nitric oxide. Nitric oxide then is like this secret password that goes towards your arteries and your blood vessels and says, open sesame. And it will open things up. And just like if you were driving down the road in traffic and then all of a sudden one lane opens and everything runs smoother and faster, that's what happens when you eat beets or leafy greens. That's why right now for athletes, beet doping is like a big deal right now. Everyone's talking about beet doping and how you drink beet juice right before an athletic event. But if you don't like beets, that's fine. You can also do it with greens. Make a green smoothie. It's as simple as that. That really, I don't know about you, but when we went plant-based and I started making more green smoothies, I used to feel like I would need a nap every day. And then I would lie down for my afternoon nap with my twin babies and I couldn't sleep. I was like, what the heck is going on? All of a sudden I have all this energy. What in the world? Greens, leafy greens. I would drink it right before I would nap. And I was like, well, now I can't nap. Thank you, leafy greens. Darn it. Because they give you energy, because they fuel your mitochondria, because they nourish your cells on the deepest level possible. And so it is so powerful. Now, of course, all of these other fruits and vegetables are going to be beneficial. And if you think about like AMLA, right? AMLA is the secret weapon when it comes to antioxidants. It is the antioxidant king. It is the most powerful antioxidant food ever discovered. It has more than double the antioxidant power of turmeric and is far stronger than blueberries or acai berries or any of those. And why this matters for mitochondria is while specific studies on AMLA and mitochondria biogenesis are still needed, it hasn't actually been done, it is incredibly high in polyphenol content. And so it suggests that there is a massive supporter of mitochondrial health in AMLA. And you could say that about so many other plants. Like we don't have a study done on every single plant that exists and the mitochondrial biogenesis, or does this increase mitochondria and does it increase the little power plants in your cells? We don't have a study on every single plant. But if it has polyphenols, it's probably a really good guess that it's going to support your mitochondrial health, because that is how you nourish your mitochondria, is polyphenols. Polyphenols are a subcategory of antioxidants, which are only found in plants. So if you want to increase how much AMLA you're consuming, I really love AMLA Green, and I'll link it below. It's like my favorite. You can buy it on Amazon just to test it out first. And then if you like it like I do and drink it every day, then it's just a powder. It's just the Indian gooseberries freeze-dried, turned into a powder. Thing is, it can be very bitter. And so I like the brand AMLA Green because they combine it with things like ginger and cinnamon and elderberry or hibiscus so that you can't taste the bitter AMLA, that part of it. And I just add like two little tiny scoops, it's like a teaspoon a day, to my drink in the morning, to my yerba mate. But again, you don't need crazy supplements. You don't even have to do that. You could just eat soybeans every day, or more chocolate, more cacao, right? Or more leafy greens, nitrate-rich leafy greens, or just more plants. Again, just more plants is going to be beneficial. You cannot go wrong with that. You can have more cinnamon. You can have more onions, more apples, more blueberries. There's so many things that you can add to increase your mitochondrial function. And again, I hope you understand why it's so important. We want to, again, number one, if you want to improve your mitochondrial health, if you want more energy, if you want less brain fog, if you want better blood sugar stabilization, if you want to be able to exercise and work harder and go longer, if you don't want to be so sensitive to cold, if you don't want big mood swings, then feed your mitochondria, right? With polyphenol-rich plants. Eat enough calories, because duh, guys, you got to eat enough calories. Like that's a big deal. If you're hungry all the time and you're not eating enough calories, no wonder you're tired. And number three, eat enough micronutrients. Just eat enough plants. Every time you look down at your plate, is there a fruit, a vegetable, a whole grain, and a decent source of protein? Every time. Okay, so besides food, what else can you do? Number two, yes, you can gently challenge your mitochondria so that they adapt, like with exercise, like with strength training, and even occasional high intensity exercise. That's great. And Guess what else you can do? You can fast occasionally. You can do cold exposure. But here's what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to overstress them. I don't want chronic fasting. That's not good. I don't want excessive cold exposure. And I don't want under recovery. I don't want you pushing so hard, exercising so much that you're not giving your body time enough to recover. And I don't want under eating. If you're not eating enough calories, and I get it if you're trying to lose weight for a short period of time, but once you're at a spot, you shouldn't be trying to go on a diet 24/7, right? We want to actually nourish your body. We want to get you to a good spot where you're nourishing it. When you nourish it, weight loss is a side effect. That's the thing. When you prioritize plants, weight loss is a side effect. Your body will hit its optimal weight if you try to nourish your mitochondria. It's amazing. And mitochondria, truthfully, they thrive on consistency. You have to be consistent in all of this. Mitochondria do not thrive on punishment, on chronic fasting or cold exposure or under recovery or under eating, right? We have to be consistent in nourishing it. So here's the big takeaway. Mitochondria are not impressed by how hardcore you are. They don't care how long you stayed in the ice bath. They care whether you gave them the tools to do their job. So if you want more energy, if you want better focus, if you want healthier aging, start thinking less about these like biohacking your body, right? And start thinking more about cellular nourishment. Because at the end of the day, you're only as energized as the smallest parts of you. You're only as energized as your mitochondria, as the powerhouses of your cell. So nourish them, support them, right? Now, this is just mitochondria for dummies. I'm sure someone with a PhD could come in and say I said something wrong or whatever. But I think overall, you see the truth in this. Overall, the big picture is that, your cells need to be nourished. And how do you nourish them? With polyphenols, with plants. So let's eat more of them. All right, guys, I will see you next week. Thank you for listening to Eat Meat Sparingly, a Word of Wisdom podcast. I'm your host, Ali Essig. And if you need more help and support with transitioning to eating more plants so you can lose weight and improve your gut health and just reduce your risk of chronic disease, then make sure to check out my PlantWise membership. That's PlantWhys, because I like to teach the why behind eating more plants. But if all you need is just a couple more delicious recipes that feed your family and everyone loves, and not to mention super simple and easy, then make sure to check out my YouTube channel, which is also PlantWhys, PlantWhys. Hope to see you there.